On Sunday, January 15th, 9 of us, with all our luggage, piled into and onto an old 8-seater minivan. No air conditioning. Fortunately, it was a cool day for West Africa. 140 miles and 5 hours later, we arrived at the Windsor Hotel of Savalou, a sandy, walled compound right beside the main highway.
Soon, our participants started to arrive. By Tuesday morning, there were 10, so we decided to start with 5 story groups. That was a foretaste of the next 3 weeks. Although overall there were 12 participants, we never had enough for more than 5 story groups.
Many of the participants grew up in voodoo families. Several shared that their parents warned them not to get involved in voodoo. Jonas, our local host, said his father, a voodoo priest, made it a point to send his children to church.
The participants also lived in Windsor Hotel, and we had 3 full-time cooks, plus 3 children who came with them. Our fare was pretty usual for West Africa: fermented maize or corn porridge for breakfast, or every now and then weak, very sweet hot chocolate served with a fresh baguette.
Other meals were pot, thick boiled porridge from maize, corn, or once from tapioca, with fried chicken, tough scrawny little rascals those must have been, or fried or boiled fish heads, usually accompanied by a chopped onion and tomato sauce. Our favorites were black-eyed peas, mixed with rice, or boiled with a couple of spoonfuls of red, very spicy hot sauce.
The weather was hot and sunny, and there are no shade trees in the hotel compound. So the cooks carried their pots out each afternoon and cooked under a mango tree beside the highway.
One day at lunchtime, Doji asked the men participants to help the cooks pound boiled yams. Lunch was late by an hour or so, but instead of pot we had pounded yams, very thick and sticky.
What would an SOS be like without challenges? Boring, right? We started without any translators, and not all the participants understood French. Fortunately, 3 of the local trainers could communicate in local languages. Doji recruited Caroline, a university student who came up from Cotonou towards the end of week 1. Unfortunately, she was feeling bad almost the whole time. During week 3, she had to be taken to the hospital and was told she must rest.
We were told that no guests would come to us. The participants would have to go find non-Christians to test their stories with. The team conferred and decided that definitely would not work, so Doji said he'd go try to find guests. At Dorian's prompting, they went to the taxi rank and recruited motorcycle taxi drivers. Worked great. The drivers came faithfully and pretty much on time each week. It helps to have your own transport. They enthusiastically answered questions and retold stories.
Several trainers and participants came down with malaria. Warren hobbled around like an 80-year-old, and Dorian was put on bed rest for the duration. Trainers ended up making daily trips to a nearby, fortunately well-stocked pharmacy.
None of the rooms had air conditioning, but there were working ceiling fans. We had water all but one day, although it had a tendency to go out in the morning when I was taking a shower. The electricity tended to go out for a few hours in the afternoon. Some days I had to reset our alarm clock several times. I usually needed to reset it anyway, since it often ran fast, gaining 15 to 20 minutes overnight.
Ah, yes, the window screens had holes in them. The hotel provided mosquito nets, also with holes in them. After 2 weeks they replaced the screens, but that still left the big gaps around doors. Besides, it was so hot we began leaving our door open at night, after I mended the holes in our mosquito net.
One highlight was the new-style recording studio that Alan set up in one of the participants' rooms. Doji told the participants, "No, that's not a casket." We had noisy chickens in the compound and a truck refueling station right next door. Trucks often came by blowing their horns, but we were still able to get good quality story recordings.
Alan had the 3 translate-only stories translated and guest-checked. That made up the stories that we didn't do for lack of participants. So we ended up with 18 stories done, like we were supposed to.
The SOS ended on Friday with a story festival that the participants planned and organized. The moto taxi drivers invited their friends, so the majority of the audience was wearing purple shirts. They presented the 15 stories they'd prepared, plus half a dozen story songs, and a drama about the birth of Jesus.
Only a couple of the participants live in Savalou. The rest live in other villages in the area. Their assignment is for each to start 2 story groups in their home area and meet each week to learn and discuss stories.
The participants were assigned to 3 story development groups and are supposed to complete 6 stories in the 3 months before we return for Module 2.
Please pray that each participant will start and lead 2 story groups, that the story development groups will meet and prepare the 6 stories, and that many people will come to know the Lord through the stories.